The other scandal is Robert Mueller and the special counsel operation generally. And the more we learn, the more concerned we should be about how that operation was set up. And I have an opinion editorial, an op-ed today at foxnews.com. Maybe we can provide a link in our feed here. And the title of the op-ed is Mueller's Russia probe is out of control. It's long been out of control, but when you find out what's going on now, you're just not going to believe it. So what happened is, a few weeks ago, Paul Manafort, who was President Trump's former campaign chairman for a period of time, and then he was targeted by the Obama administration and then Robert Mueller by virtue of his position, not by virtue of his criminality. It's not to say he's not a crook, but he's not the sort of crook who would have gotten the attention of the federal government but for his relation to President Trump. So Manafort a few weeks ago challenged the authority of Robert Mueller to investigate and indict him. And generally speaking, Manafort was making the allegation that, look, you were hired to investigate Russia collusion, and you're targeting me on something that has nothing to do with Russia collusion. You're targeting me on my communications with Ukrainians, the Ukrainian government, and work for that government, and tax fraud, and all sorts of other things that are unrelated to Russia collusion. And unless you were specifically charged and given the authority to investigate this, the court shouldn't allow it to proceed. Now, what's interesting is, in response, just the other day, Robert Mueller filed something which is really quite extraordinary. And it's an August 2nd memorandum, August 2nd, 2017 memorandum, written purportedly by Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General who appointed Mueller because Sessions recused himself, saying that, yeah, this is, you have authority to investigate the Ukrainian issue. And in fact, the document suggests it was part of your original jurisdiction. Well, listen to that news. And the document, by the way, is heavily redacted, so there's only portions of it. Well, it wasn't part of Mueller's original jurisdiction, because when you look at the appointing memorandum by Rod Rosenstein in May, he writes, look, you can investigate any links and/or coordination between the Russia government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump, and any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation, and any other matters within the scope of, and he cites the regulation, basically that refers back to the original jurisdiction. So meaning you can investigate Russia's collusion, anything that pops up that's kind of related to the Russia collusion, meaning if someone lies to you as you're investigating it, you could probably do something there, and other things that you find that relate to Russia collusion that isn't necessarily covered by the first paragraph. Now, an honest prosecutor would read that as a restriction, not as a broad mandate to investigate every communication every Trump advisor had with any foreign government. But that's the way that Robert Mueller's now read it. And he's been given a CYA memo, this August 2nd memo by Rod Rosenstein. So there's nothing in there that talks about Ukraine. And this memo, which was written on August 2nd, 2017, came 6 days after the July 26th pre-dawn raid on Manafort's home. Remember, the agents went in there with guns drawn to raid Manafort's home? He and his wife were woken out of bed. And reportedly, the agents, while they were there, were taking pictures of his suits. Manafort's suits, yes, they were taking pictures of his suits. Because as you know, Russia collusion means we got to investigate whether Paul Manafort was spending too much money on suits given his income. You think I'm joking? No, I'm not joking. Go ahead and read the indictments. They talk about how much money he spends on clothes. This is the absurdity of the Mueller investigation. Now, if Mueller had come up across, now supposedly the government knew about what this Ukrainian issue with Manafort back in 2016. So it wasn't as if it wasn't on the radar of the Justice Department when they appointed Mueller, but it wasn't put in there in that appointment document. So Mueller goes ahead, raids Manafort's home, and then later gets authorization to investigate the underlying crimes over which he raided his home? How does that work? It just goes to show that this Justice Department is willing to throw the rule of law out the window when it comes to protecting Mueller's investigation. It's like he's king of the Justice Department. If he wanted to investigate the Ukrainian issue, he comes in, he's there for 10 weeks before he gets this memo. Before he did anything, he should have gone to Rod Rosenstein and said, look, you already know about this Ukrainian issue. It looks like it's kind of the same issue of Russia collusion, and he's the former Trump campaign chair. I should probably be looking at this. And Rosenstein could have said, okay, but they didn't do that. They did an after-the-fact memo, which to me is inimical to the rule of law. And again, it highlights the constitutional infirmities of the special counsel operation. And this isn't about Robert Mueller, whether he's a good or bad guy. I've long said you could have Mother Teresa running the special counsel office and it would still mow down everyone in Washington, D.C. Because the whole process is constitutionally screwed up. He gets no day-to-day supervision, practically speaking, from a constitutional officer or someone who's accountable or appointed to those who are constitutional officers, meaning someone appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. So in this case, he was doing an investigation and Rosenstein blesses it after the fact. That's not the way the Justice Department is supposed to work. And it leads into the situation where Mueller is now investigating the Ukraine, the Seychelles. He's discussing, looking into supposedly UAE communications with the Trump people. And he's now deep sea fishing among Paul Manafort's dress suits. I'll say it once and I'll say it again, shut it down. And we're not just fulminating about the Mueller operation here at Judicial Watch. We're in court asking the tough questions.